ones that mark a new beginning. We are the ones of the spoken word. We are the ones who keep the planet spinning. Hey, yes, one day we will rule the world.
Hey guys, I'm Si. Welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation of the Andy Campbell Football Show Euro 2020. This is episode number 11. The Euros are coming to an end. Is it coming home? We will see. Lots of emotions, I'm sure, for Mr. Campbell, but and of course a lot of our English viewers as well. It's going to be very interesting to talk about that, and of course all the quarterfinals and previewing the semi-finals. But the show is available live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. A.C.E Podcast Nation, of course, you're home to many great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts, and more. So please do give us a follow on social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell for notification. Most of all, give it a little look and a follow to our partners, our brand sponsors, whatever you'd like to call them. We've got, of course, Black Diamond Sport, who are a global sports agency who represent sports stars from around the world. For more information on them, you can get their social media pages or their website, links to which are in the description below. They give a lot of help behind the scenes, helping us promote the show and whatnot, and we thank them. And of course, today's sponsor, as ever, Bespoke Financial and Darren Ralston. Darren is giving away a free will worth £140 with any new policy which is taken out. So check him out, give him a call. Do not miss out on an amazing offer. He's looked after AC for a couple of, with various policies over the years, including the critical illness, the injury cover. They are top of their field. They provide award-winning service. We are proud to partner with such a brand. And I urge you to check them out. Tell them we sent you and see if they've got a service for you. But let's get into it. Introducing, as always, my co-host, the goal collector. He's a former England under-21 striker, ex-Cardiff City and Middlesbrough hero. It is Mr. Andy Campbell. How are you, my friend?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm happy after the weekend. I'm relaxed currently. I don't think I'll be like this come Wednesday, unless they get to the start that they had. But great to be back on. Do you know what, Si? I was thinking about, I was talking about this with my old man at the weekend, that I remember the preview show. I remember the Italy versus Turkey game. I remember the conversations that we were having. I remember all of these kind of moments that we were looking forward to. And like you just said, that's nearly come to an end. It's mad how quick football goes when you've missed it for that long, and we've got a little.
Andy's frozen. But joining me and Andy is, of course, ex-Wales, Cardiff, Swansea forward, Mr. David Giles. How are you, David?
I'm good, Si. Good, very well, thank you.
Good stuff, mate. Sorry, Ange, you froze up completely, mate, there. So we had to jump over to Gilo. But what I did want to just quickly ask you, and was I just thought I would like you to tell the people what I said to you before the tournament with regards to England, and also, of course, what I said on this show on Friday night. The floor is yours, my friend.
Do you know what? I had a really, really nasty bank in the head on Saturday, and I can't
okay. I can tell
a lot of things. However, no, listen. You said about England's squad being had the best depth, which obviously I think it's showing with the difference in formations the managers picking, the difference in team selections the managers picking, and the consistency of the performance. You just said that England would guaranteed get to the semi-final, if not get to the final. Obviously on Friday you said guaranteed win. I think you said about the goal. I know we spoke at length about Harry Kane via text, and obviously we spoke sure the game before. So your predictions on individuals are probably just as good as your predictions overall. You know about, and I think that's probably evident with the way that Gareth's doing things at the minute. You know, and I mean, jokes aside, predictions are absolutely spot on. But once you see the team, your outlook at team selection and your tactical vision is probably similar to what Gareth's trying to get his team to put across. You know what I mean? Instead of I read loads of England comments, negative comments when the teams come out about what's he doing. You know what I mean? Jadon Sancho, everyone's been screaming out for Sancho to play,
And Jadon Sancho, by the way, did not disappoint, did he? He was very good, man.
Because play him. No. Oh, listen, I think he was probably better than good, considering he's played no games, and he hasn't been in this side playing consistency with Kyle Walker, with other players, with Declan Rice's, with Harry Kane. You know what I mean? So for him to come in and be very consistent like he was, and some of the runs that he did, some of the interchanges that he did, the 1-2 in the first half where he went from right all the way to the left, and was when Declan Rice had a shot. Listen, I thought he was very, very good.
Indeed. Gilo, like in terms of England, first and foremost, we're going to talk about all the semi-final teams and the semi-finals, but that variety that they're able to provide, whether it's the formation, the tactics, bringing players off the bench, changing up the starting lineup, no other team has really got that depth, have they?
No, they haven't, Si. And like Andy said, that the way England have played, the way Gareth Southgate has managed the players, I totally agree with him about Sancho. I thought he was fabulous the other night for a young lad, playing in a big game like that. Really, really exciting. That's the type of football that I love to watch. People running at their midfield, back four, going at them with pace. Very, very exciting. And let's be honest, he's not been in the starting lineup up until now. So, Gareth Southgate unleashed him and he didn't disappoint. But when you think, for me, what Southgate did at the end, and I thought that was brilliant, with Jack Grealish, who didn't come on, but he went over to him, put his arm around him, and he spent about 2-3 minutes with him, chatting with him, basically telling him, look, son, it wasn't your night tonight. We had a plan that the lads carried it through, and I didn't want to change it that much. We didn't need you to go on to cause more problems. They got their goals. In all fairness, delighted for Jordan Henderson going on. I think he was sent on just to tighten it all up. But hey, he's gone on and scored the goal as well. He scored his first England goal. So there's so many pluses for England. There really, really is. And you have to give all credit to the manager and also is the coaching staff. They obviously they've done their bit. Gareth Southgate trusts every one of them. England have got something special going on at the moment, and I hope that they can go all the way and win it, because they are such a good team. Good luck.
Yeah, and I said to Andy actually before the game had finished on Friday, Saturday. I said to him before the game had finished, I said, you want to get a bet on England to win the Euros and the World Cup now, because as soon as this game finishes, the hype will be there. and the price will drop. And I'm not saying that England will win the Euros or the World Cup, but if you fancy it, it's probably was the time to do it. I just think the World Cup, of course, is a whole different kettle of fish. Messi is suddenly producing for Argentina, which he hasn't done on a regular basis over the years, which is that's one aspect straight away. The World Cup is a lot more difficult, I think, to get further. But then you got to look at it. England got to the semi-final of the World Cup before this tournament. Like, it's not a fluke. And this is I saw a lot of particularly Scottish and Welsh fans, but people on social media saying about all the teams in the semi-finals, they're all the ones who didn't have to travel. They're the ones who played the majority of their games at home. And of course, it's not right. It does leave like a little bit of a bitter taste for those teams. But like the travel to Baku for Wales, for instance, had absolutely nothing to do with losing to Denmark. Denmark was just a far better team. And I just think sometimes you just enjoy the tournament and what's left of it, because I see so many people on social media getting caught up in, so-and-so supporting England and he's from Scotland or he's from Wales. And it's like, well, just if you want to support England, support them. If you don't, you don't. Who cares? Just enjoy the football for what it is. I don't know. It's weird. The media, I think, they play up to these things, of course. It is what it is. Andy, is Denmark the hardest? Take out the fact that it's a semi-final. Is Denmark going to be the biggest test, do you think? Bear in mind that I think Germany are not what they once were. He's gone. What about Gilo? Do you think Denmark's their biggest, England's biggest test, mate?
Well, he's back just before Andy answers. I personally think, yes, obviously, because they're a very good side. They're in the semi-finals. But I honestly believe, you said that about Germany, England beat a very, very good German side.
Oh, of course.
Forget about... And if they'd beaten England, they would fancy themselves to go all the way. Because the Germans have always been top quality in these type of tournaments. So, they're probably... Denmark is going to be the toughest because that's who they're facing in the semi-finals. But if you're going to win anything, you've got to beat all the best teams, haven't you?
Yeah, 100%. What do you think, Dan?
I totally agree. Listen, I want to pick up a point what Gilo just said there earlier on about Gareth Southgate and Jack Grealish. I thought Gareth Southgate's interview after the game was phenomenal. And phenomenal in terms of, he said about levels of performance, and he focused on Henderson. He focused on players, Cody. He focused on players who weren't playing and haven't played and probably won't play in the tournament, because he said that the reason why they're doing well is because these guys are pushing the players during the tournament and during training sessions, and that's why you're getting optimum levels of performance out of those players. And just listening to him live after a game with Gary Lineker and people like that, he doesn't have to say things like that. He could be buzzing that England are in the semi-final. He could be buzzing. He could get overexcited. He doesn't, and he means every word. He's not saying it in case he needs these players, because let's be honest, if Cody doesn't play, you've got Tyrone Mings. If Tyrone Mings doesn't play, you're going to play somebody else. You probably play someone else ahead of Cody. You know what I mean? Then you've got the young lad from Brighton. So all these kind of players who he's talking about, they're getting these comments because he truly believes that they deserve the credit, because they are putting the shift in training. But players are playing that well and that consistent that they can't be dropped. You're not going to drop Harry Maguire. You're not going to drop John Stones. You're not going to drop Kyle Walker on current performances, and that's on your last performance. You know what I mean? And like that, I felt really sorry for Saka that he was injured. Now he's coming back to training. He's going to be fit for Wednesday's game. I don't see how you can put him in, and I don't see how you can put him in ahead of Sancho. I probably don't see how you can put him in ahead of Mount. I don't see how you can probably.
Is he going to come back?
He's going to come back now.
He's going to come back mid-sentence there. He'll be back now. Let's see. I'd say the one thing, and which just what you're saying about Sacco then, mate, I think Sacco might come back in for Sancho. And here's why. I think Sacco's been very good, and I think Southgate likes him. He's very direct, but he only seems to last around 45 minutes to an hour, and then he does really fade quite drastically. Maybe it's his age, his frame. I'm not sure of the reason, but there is quite a drastic change from his first half performance to the the start of the second half.
No,
so then you
totally
bring Sancho on a half time again. Goes back to the depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I totally agree. But I think, and I'm going on, and I'm going to jump on Gilo's point. I've just got a sneaky feeling what Gareth Southgate was saying to Jack Grealish in his ear was, "Be ready on Wednesday because you're going to start the first game in this tournament," and that makes it a very, very, very dangerous team selection because you've got a hungry person who's ready to be unleashed for 2 or 3 days, and that person will be ready to go. Because Gareth won't have said what he said in his ear and not gone through with it. So if he said you're going to play on Wednesday, he will play on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Because he's been very consistent with people, and I think that's the consistency of the manager and the unpredictability of the manager. Because I'm sitting here, I can't see Gareth Southgate playing Jack Grealish, even though what I've just said. But whoever he plays, it's going to surprise me. So
imagine how hungry Rashford is. Imagine how hungry Grealish is. Foden. These guys who are genuinely some of the best young footballers in Europe have barely played a game in this tournament, and the players who've played ahead of them have deserved their places. So, like, when you can rely on that type of talent to come in, knowing that they're going to be chomping at the bit to have a big performance, it really does give you, like, Denmark cannot predict what England's side is starting 11 is going to be. They can't even predict the formation, I don't think, because they could go 5 at the back and it would suit, their fullbacks. They could go 4 at the back. They could go 4-3-3, 4-4-2. There's so many options, and it just it's interesting. But I said to Gilo, and just before you joined us, I've been really impressed with Dolberg and the other young Danish attacking midfielder. Like, they play 2 behind the striker a lot. I've been really impressed with both. They scored some cracking goals from long distance. Yeah. But those 2 players are predominantly making a name for themselves in this tournament. They're kind of coming of age in this tournament, whereas they're going to come up against any combination of central midfielders that England have got. Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Phillips, who's having a blinder, and I'm sure there's a couple of others who haven't had a look in. They're not just good footballers. They're strong, physical footballers. They're Premier League first teamers. They play in the Champions League, a lot of them. That's a big pool of central midfielders, physically and technically and ability-wise, to come up against 2 young attacking midfielders who, yes, are phenomenal. I just think that depth in physicality and quality could be too much for Denmark. And I got to be honest, I really rate Denmark. I was really impressed with how they played against Wales. But if we're sitting here on Friday's show and we're talking about England have blown Denmark away in the first half hour 3-0 or something, and then it's pitted out into a similar game to the Ukraine game, I won't be surprised. I don't think it'll go that way necessarily, but I will not be surprised if England blow them away, because I just believe the momentum they've got at the moment, the squad they've got, they're capable of beating any football team in the tournament, and I include Italy in that. Gilo, what do you think of that, mate? Like, just what I've just said there.
100%, Si. They can. They're more than capable of blowing Denmark away. What I would say, mind, and Andy will tell you this, those 2 young lads want to play against those England players, because that's when they can really show how good they are. And that's when they learn their stripes, and people say, hey, these kids are good, but they're even better than that. Look what they've just done against the England midfield. So they'll be relishing that. It's just what combination, like Andy said, Gareth Southgate is going to play. What is he going to start with? And personally, I would love to see Jack Grealish play. I don't think he will. I think he'll be involved at some stage, unless they're winning 3 or 4-0 by half time.
But you don't think he starts?
I don't. I hope he does, Si, but I don't think. I just can't see it. Because we've got, we've not talked about this lad. I think one of the England players of the tournament for me up to now, and his delivery is wonderful, is Luke Shaw. What an absolute brilliant tournament he's had. United stuck with him. He had a shocking injury. They've got him back right. He's had a decent season. But my God, he's proved to everyone now he's a top quality international footballer that goes all the way, gets right behind any fullback and delivers. His cross for Harry Kane the other night. I as a winger, I would dream about delivering a ball like that. And he does that on a regular basis. So,
Gilo, quick question for you on Luke Shaw, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. Quick question, though. Is Luke Shaw the best left back in Europe on current form?
do you know what, Si? I'd say yeah. I would say yeah. With what he's doing for his team and what he's setting up, who is better than him?
Spot on. Someone else said that just before the tournament. I forget who it was, but they obviously knew what they were talking about.
But you've also got to look. Gilo talked about there about his delivery for Harry Kane's goal. Before that is the 75-yard run he overlapped to get there. So he's not just delivering a ball; he's delivering a ball with fatigue, and he's delivering a ball in the second half of a game in humidity, in a bit of heat, crossing the ball with confidence, with a bit of swagger, with a bit of But he did it against Germany. He did it against Ukraine. He'll be doing it again tomorrow. And this is what makes for me England dangerous, because we've got the wide men who like to tuck in. Sancho did a great job at the weekend by tucking in.
Raheem Sterling, by the way, has been excellent.
He has been super, but it leaves a gap out wide for the fullbacks. And England used to do it all the time. David Beckham would tuck in, Gary Neville would bomb on. You know what I mean? And that's why England was successful over certain eras and generations, because they had pairings who worked really well together. The pairings that we've got at the minute, the wingers tuck in, the fullbacks bomb on. We get good crosses from deep or from the box. We fill the box with numbers. That's what's getting us goals. That's what got us goals at the weekend. And I believe I'll jump on the what you both said about the lads for the Denmark, the sack midfielders. One thing they won't have on Wednesday night is fear. They'll go in the game wanting to make a name for themselves and continue to make a name for themselves, thinking that we can get a move to the Premier League if we perform tonight. That game is that big for those two guys, because they can get a move to the Premier League, and that goes for any one of those players, because they put themselves in the shop window. They're probably going to get some interest out of this tournament, but the Premier League is a different animal.
If you can do it against England, it's different.
Mason Mounts, the Harry Maguires, the Declan Rices. If you can dominate those kind of players, then you're going to have a chance. You know, I mean, one thing I will say, and you've already said it, Phillips is having an amazing tournament. Declan Rice having an amazing tournament. You can see how important Declan Rice is for England when Gareth Southgate's bringing him off to save him for the next game. That's how serious Declan Rice is for England, and how people may not like him, the way that he plays, that people are talking about limited ability. Listen, he does a job for the team. He protects. He's a passer. He passes sideways. He passes forwards. He passes backwards. I'm not looking for Declan Rice to go and score us 35-yarders and take people on and do a job. I want him to get the ball down, breaking up play, and I want him to pass to a Raheem Sterling, I want him to pass to a Rashford, a Sancho, a Jack Grealish, and then stay where you are and protect. That's his job, and his job is to do that, and he does that job amazingly well.
What do you think of this point, Andy? Craig Sullivan says, I think if England give Denmark the same chances they gave Germany, they'll lose. The German finishing was woeful.
I wouldn't say it was woeful. Werner had a chance in the first half. Muller had a chance in the second half, which he put wide. I don't think any team has cut us open yet.
Just that one chance, wasn't it, by Muller? That's the only one I think I could
put it
think
wide,
of.
but England were already 1-0 ahead. Listen, England have kept clean sheet in every single game, and they're going into the game expecting to keep a clean sheet again. There's going to be a time when England let a goal in. It's how they react, how they learn from it, how they get on with it. If they go 1-0 behind, they've still got goals in the team. If they're ahead and they let a goal in, well, so be it. We get back on the horse and we go again. It's a semi-final of a European Championships. These don't come around very often, and for my generation, for a lot of England fans of a similar age to me and younger, this hasn't been there before. It probably might not be here again. For me, we've got to take this chance with both hands and get in the final and then see what it is. But we can only take one game at a time. People talk about how poor Ukraine were. They weren't great, I'll be honest. Do you know what I mean? But England made them not great. Yeah. England have got to take credit for the performance of the other team, because they stopped them playing. They got off to a great start. Yes, Shevchenko's tactics might have been poor, but that's down to them. He's giving England probably too much respect that they're coming at them. They're going to break them down. But to get beat 4-0 in a quarter-final, it shouldn't really happen unless you're going for it, and it didn't. So
no. Let's talk about that. One of the things which I felt happened with Wales, particularly in the Denmark game, was that Robert Page, through no fault of his own, showed a lot of inexperience at that level as a manager, because of course he hasn't got experience. Shevchenko was in the same boat, and I did think that in the England game he showed a bit of inexperience at his managerial level. They played so defensive. I texted you after 2 minutes and said they've got 2 banks of 5 and they're on the edge of the box. And then literally Harry Kane scored like 60 seconds later. But when you start off so negative, it's very difficult to change those tactics. And the Ukraine never really were able, they did have the odd sort of cross in the box or the odd sort of thing, but they never looked like scoring really. No. And they never really were able to show, in the latter part of the Swiss game, well, it was Switzerland they played, wasn't it, the game before? Yeah. The latter part of that game, in the extra time particularly, they were bombing down the wing, they were whipping balls in. They looked quite dangerous from the wide areas, but against England, and maybe that's due to the quality of the English fullbacks and holding midfielders, but I just felt that the Ukraine never really got going. And I, maybe, being a bit hyperbole, maybe I said they looked like a pub team at certain points, because I felt they looked really disorganised and they were playing so deep. And they reminded me of sometimes when you see in the FA Cup the opposite to a giant killing, where the team from the the conference or whatever, or the really, really lower leagues plays like a big side, and they look completely overawed by the occasion. And I felt like the Ukraine almost felt a bit like that. Gilo, what did you make of that? Did you think they were overawed? Did you think they were a bit negative, or did you just think they were not good enough on the day?
Number one side, listen, they weren't as good as England, and you call it not good on the day. So what does Shevchenko do? Does he say, right, from the kickoff, we're going to bomb forward, we're going to press there? You can't do that against England. They've got so much quality. If you try and press them early and push them back early, they'll pick you off, and all of a sudden you could be 2-0 down in 10, 15 minutes. So they had to start the way they did. But England just dominated the game. I've played in games, Andy's played in games, where there's not a lot you can do when the opposition got their foot on your head and you just can't get out of it. And it's very, very difficult. When I played, I don't know whether it was like with you, Andy, but the senior pros, the older pros always used to say, if we're going to win this game, we need 7, possibly 8 of us to play really well. You go back to that England game, who had a bad game? They were all outstanding.
No, totally agree.
That's the totally problem that Ukraine had. They just couldn't get out to do anything on that England dominance. And by the way, Pickford's having a great tournament as well.
Yeah, he is.
He's done everything right.
I totally agree, Gilo. What you said there, you know what I mean? The one thing the England players did, especially in the first half, was they didn't panic after the first goal and think, listen, we need to go and get the second goal really quickly, because they didn't need it. You know what I mean? They went from left to right so many times. How many times that Shaw got it and he ended up passing it to Stones on Maguire, which went out to Walker, and then vice versa. You know what I mean? Or to Rice and then back across. They were really, really dominant in the game possessionally, and it was just very comfortable for the rest of the team. And I just found it very comfortable. I said to you, Si, didn't I, during the game, that once they get the second goal, if they get it early enough, it'll be 3, 4, or 5. Dead comfortably. And then once after an hour, he brought on his 6 subs or his 5 subs, however many he brought. There was England just then didn't need any more goals. I felt sorry for the subs, because it's hard for them. They're not really going to be able to impress. Rashford didn't have any time on the ball. You had Calvert-Lewin didn't really get any shots because they weren't putting the same crosses in the box.
Disjointed, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard, but that's what happens in friendlies. You know what I mean? We made too many subs, for me, in my opinion, and it was difficult for those guys. But one thing I did find in the whole game was Shevchenko trying to bring 3 subs on in the 91st minute, and none of them got on. I thought that was one of the strangest things I've ever seen.
Well, the reason he was trying to bring them on to give him time, because I think a couple of them hadn't played in the tournament, so he was just trying to give them minutes, just so they could say they played at the Euros.
Give him 20 minutes then.
And the bloody referee blew up bang on 90 minutes.
But give him 20 minutes.
First time ever.
The game was 4-0. The game was 4-0 dead and buried, and he knew that. Yeah. Listen, he was an 18-year-old lad stood on the sideline. He doesn't want 30 seconds or a minute against England. No, he could have made a name for himself. He could have got a goal. He could have made a good tackle. He could have you've got to give these players 15 minutes minimum to get into a game, and especially against a side like that, and the way they were playing, the way the game was going, and I guarantee you, any one of those players from the Ukraine who would have come off, they'd have probably preferred to come off 20 minutes ago, because they were dead and buried, some of them.
The one thing I didn't like was, with about 10 minutes to go, England were knocking it about at the back. With, they've got no reason to push forward or whatever. They're 4-0 up. And the Ukrainians, they weren't even trying to get the ball. They were just dropping to the halfway line and just letting England pass it. And I just thought, look, I know you're 4-0 down, but it's still a major tournament. You're still representing your country. Come on. I didn't like that at all.
Show some heart, desire, and it just works. Footballers are renowned for being fit, run around, just show willing. Just go and chase for another 20 minutes, and just shows your nation and your comrades that you're up for the fight. And for me, I agree. I thought it was very strange. It looked pathetic at the end with the Olays, and you know what I mean. I just thought it wasn't. It didn't feel like a quarter final. It felt like a friendly, World Cup qualifier or a friendly where people were just, you know what I mean. It didn't feel like it at the end, but hopefully it's just because England played so well, and England can continue and improve and get better. And if they can get better and play as half as well as they did on Saturday night, for me, they're going to get a positive result again, because they've got people and players who can hurt the opposition. Yes, so have the opposition, but England have got so many options and so many people who can do it from the starting line, from the bench and everything. It's ridiculous.
So just lastly on England, we just had a super chat. Do you think, and this is from West Ham fan as well, he says, do AC and Gilo think Declan Rice would be a good sign-in for United? And how much should we charge after the Euros? #bank.
Alan, I'll go first. Do I think it'll be a good move? For the lad personally, yes. For Man United, I'm not sure, because will he play every single minute of every single game? Because the players they've got in there, they play different style to the way that Declan Rice plays. You know what I mean? For me, Chelsea probably would be a better fit, but Chelsea and West Ham, the history and the heritage will goes there. You don't want to move, because that would be a bad move all around. For me, West Ham have just had an amazing season. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean, for me, they've earned him his place in the squad, his place in the team, the way that he's played. So, because of how West Ham have played this year, he's got his opportunity. So, for me, I think it'd be disrespectful for any footballer to say, "I'm leaving West Ham," even though how other big clubs.
Depends how much money they offer the West Ham, doesn't it?
I agree, but for me, West Ham don't need to sell. They've got multi-million owners. You know what I mean? They're getting the fans back in their brand new stadium. For me, I'd double the price, whatever they were saying. And if they pay it, they pay it. If they don't, then move on.
Yeah, 100%. The one thing I disagree with you, I think he'd be the perfect midfielder to sit whilst Pogba and Fernandes have a bit more freedom. And I think the three of them.
I don't think you can play. I don't think you can
midfield three.
I don't think you can play them all, me though. I just think.
But Declan Rice is a holding midfielder, isn't he? Whereas Pogba likes to play off the left, and Ronaldo, Fernandes.
I don't think he likes to
play.
I don't think he likes to. I think he's forced to.
No, he played. That's where he played for Juventus, wasn't it? On the left.
I know, but when he's, you know what I mean.
I think he just likes to wander, mate. If he had his own way, he could just go where he wants.
I think it'd be a perfect fit for Chelsea, but I wouldn't. I think for past moves from West Ham to Chelsea, Frank Lampard.
Difficult to have, isn't it?
Don't do it.
Don't think it'll happen.
Don't do it.
Do you think he's good enough to play Champions League football?
He's in the semi-final of Euros, isn't he? For the reason he's a very good footballer. So for me, I think he'd find it a stroll in the park. Could Calvin Phillips play the Champions League?
Don't know.
I'm
still.
He could, yeah.
Of course he could.
No, I'm not saying he could, but which top four side would you put him in their starting lineup now? If you ignore any signings coming in, does he get in the Man City midfield? Does he get in the United midfield? Does he get in the Chelsea midfield?
I think you've got to look at current
Liverpool.
form, the way the injuries are going. You know, I mean, for me, he's taken over on current form over Jordan Henderson, hasn't he? You know what I mean? I don't think Jordan Henderson sits anymore. He does like to move and go forward at times, but for me, if Jordan Henderson is a sitter, Calvin Phillips has got a little bit more energy. Jordan's getting a little bit older. He seems to get stuck in a little bit more. His game's developed so much in a short space of time in the Premier League.
I've been surprised by him. I got to be honest.
You know what I mean? Like we talked about on the Championship show when he got promoted at Leeds, and he was a standout player. Did I ever think 2 years later we were going to talk about him in this conversation in the Euros? Not a chance. But he's done it because he's earned his opportunity to do it. So credit where credit's due, and credit to the manager to put him in, by the way, because that was the biggest decision for me.
The easy option was
anybody
or Henderson or whoever, wasn't it?
There's about 5 players ahead of him.
I agree, completely agree. It's an interesting one. I want to just quickly move on to talk about some of the other teams, the Euro teams.
Is there any teams? Is there any other teams?
England have already won it, mate. So just before we do, I've got a large Andy Campbell Football Show T-shirt, which it was delivered to my house today. It's a one of a kind. There's not going to be any more made because it was a sample, and there's some little bits on it which I want to change or move. So there's never going to be another one. So I'm going to give it away. The winner will be whoever can guess who my player of the tournament for the Euros will be. So I will announce that when me, Andy, and Rhodri do our team of the season in the last show, which is Monday. So next Monday, but I'll announce who my choice is.
I'm trying to think. I've got a couple who I think it could be, but
yeah. So I wanted to make it like tricky and a little bit trickier because it's a once in a time. I might even see about getting Andy to sign the T-shirt. You never know, because it's a one. There's never going to be another one, so why not? Thought I'd give it away. But moving on, one team which no one is really talking about, and it's interesting because obviously historically they've won numerous tournaments over the years, is Spain. Of course, they're in a massive transition. They've changed the way they play. They haven't got a lot of the big boys who brought them that success. But Gilo, they're still there, and they're still going strong. And they've had a couple of games where they've been quite impressive. They've had a couple of games where they haven't been as impressive. They've missed some chances, but are people writing them off too easily?
You'll never write Spain off, never. People did before this tournament. I don't know, the first couple of games they played, you reading things on social media and in the press, or Spain are finished, they've had it, they're going to have to rebuild. Then all of a sudden, bang, they've come alive. And I think they're the first team in a major competition to score 5 goals in 2 games back to back.
Wow.
So that's where they're dangerous. They'll concede, but they'll always be able to score. And Andy will tell you, goals win games.
Yeah.
That's what wins you games, is scoring goals. So never write the Spanish. It's going to be difficult against Italy. I just want to say one thing, and I've been dying to say this to you two. It hasn't been mentioned a lot. The Italian game the other night. I cannot understand for the life of me, and this is nothing against Italy, because I think they're a fabulous team. I love the manager. I love his ways and how smart he looks. It's sheer class. But that lad with the first goal, when the Belgium captains tackled him, he's gone down on the floor. He stayed there. He stayed there in a ball. Now, I'm thinking like Eriksen, is he seriously injured or something like that? The ball's come back into the box. Bang, they've scored. He's only got up and running after the player that scored and jumping. Yeah. I cannot believe that's not a booking. Or shocking, absolutely shocking.
I put something on social media on that was Friday night. I put something on Saturday morning, and I said UEFA should ban him for 2 games so he misses the rest of the tournament. And part of me thought a little bit harsh, but then part of me thought, do you know what? How are these going to players learn? Because it would stop you doing it in the semi-final to try and get a penalty. What was he trying to achieve? Was he staying down so VAR would look at it, even though nothing was going to happen? You know what I mean? Because it was a laughable thing, and then to get up and run away, it just looks like he was trying to con somebody. And if you're trying to con somebody, you're cheating. And if you're cheating, then surely it's like diving, it's like simulation. So you've got to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And here's the more serious aspect of that as well. Is you got obviously the referee and the medical staff, etc., but particularly the referee in the Christian Eriksen incident did so well to stop it and get him the attention he needed straight away. However, how much harder is it for referees to do that in a serious situation when you've got players collapsing in a heap, rolling up into a ball, and then there's this thing years ago. You'd have Jurgen Klinsmann would roll like 6 times, wouldn't he? But these days, when I've seen a lot of dives now, they'll stay completely still.
Yeah.
To make it, and they'll scream out in pain, and then they won't move. And I just think it's just players have got to take responsibility to help referees out to know when it's something serious and when it's something not. Like Leslie's just put in the comments there's no evidence to say he wasn't injured. But, all right, there's no evidence to say he wasn't injured, but also he must have recovered from his injury the quickest anyone has ever recovered from injury.
I'll throw a comment on that one then. So he was injured, referee stops the game, blows the whistle, we get the trainer on for him, so there's no goal. Yeah,
and that's it. It just disrupts the game.
Who's going to lose out then? So Italy lose out the goal because one of your teammates is trying to con a referee and trying to get an advantage. So next time, because we used to do it, Gilo, didn't we? You know what I mean? If players on the floor, the referee used to stop the game straight away. So if we go back to that and the ref doesn't play advantage, then that goal doesn't happen and Italy don't take the lead. So the whole game and the whole dynamics of that cup tie changes straight away overnight. You know what I mean? I honestly don't get it. I don't get why he did it. He looked so stupid getting up and running away without a limp as well, by the way. You know what I mean?
He did.
And listen, I'm a big fan of his. I've said good things about him during the tournament. He's been one of my favourite players. But he went down to my estimation there, though.
Very interesting point Rise just made there. Was he pretending to be injured so that if they did score, they wouldn't call him offside for interfering with play?
Well, no, because the ball goes past him, he's interfering with play. If he's blocking the goalkeeper's vision, he's offside. So,
but if he's injured, I've seen them not give it when players injured as well.
If he's blocking the referee's vision, he's offside. So he's making himself a bigger person. So he's making himself a larger area on the floor. If he stands up, he's not as big. Because the whole thing doesn't make sense to me. He made himself.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it? It wasn't even like he had got caught in the face or something, and maybe with VAR it will look like a penalty. The
criticism he's got is just for me. You know what I mean? And he'll probably regret it because he'll look a bit silly. Because listen, we don't want to see it. You know what I mean? But if Harry Kane does it on Wednesday, people will be the first to slag him off and have a go at him and do it. You know what I mean? We don't want to see it. You know what I mean? That's the end of. It doesn't matter who it is. He's one of the standout centre forwards in this Euros, and he was at the start, and he has been all the way through. He's their main talisman going forward. You know what I mean? He's their main centre forward. So for me, I want him playing. If I've said all along about Italy how good they are, but they're only good with him in the side. You know what I mean? They're the best. He's the best centre forward they've got, and he needs to play. And he doesn't need to do things like that.
No, they're all only quickly. They're all at it. But I think that was probably one of the worst examples of it.
Yeah, it was highlighted more, wasn't it? Because they scored whilst he was doing it and he got up and run off. Like, if they hadn't scored, people wouldn't have been drawn because he would have just got up and trotted back to the halfway line or whatever. Yeah. And people wouldn't have noticed it as much. Whereas, because they scored, he obviously got up to celebrate and, it was highlighted more, and it's a shame in some ways because I thought Italy were absolutely phenomenal against Belgium.
I thought they were amazing.
Those centre backs were incredible, but not just that. I thought they blew Belgium away pretty much in the first 20, 30 minutes. Could have been 3-0.
What's your thoughts on Belgium though? Because have they underachieved?
Yes.
What's a viewer's thoughts on it? Have they underachieved? Did the main players perform? Did the manager get his tactics wrong? Is it Roberto Martinez's fault? Because people are questioning, should he still be there? What's the consistency there?
I'd have a couple of points for me.
This is their golden generation, remember, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say first and foremost, this tournament, they've got a slight get out of jail card in that Hazard and De Bruyne were not fit. So they're always going to kind of fall back on that. However, they should still have a good enough squad to be able to, they still got people like Lukaku, the other Hazard, Witsel was, played for the majority of the games, Tillmans, and, they've got good footballers. The problem is, and I said this to you, Andy, the other day, and I think it's Reese who said it a few times in the comments over the shows, is notoriously Roberto Martinez teams aren't the greatest at defending. And I thought that was shown in the tournament. And I said to you, Andy, it's all very well bringing in Thierry Henry to be assistant manager or to work with your strikers. The attacking players are good anyway. Maybe bring in Vincent Kompany to work in with the defenders, because at certain points in this tournament, again, Belgium at the back looked absolutely shambolic. But that's just my view. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I'll only quickly, I've just come in on there. Don't forget, mind, Belgium are a decent side. Yeah, you'll have to say that they weren't at their best, and I think that's fair. But let's not, like we said about England earlier on, they're playing a top-class Italian team who didn't really let him get settled down. Having said that, the one where Lukaku was on the far post and the Italian defender put his foot out and it hit his foot. If that goes in, it could have been a different game. You may have seen Italy under pressure, but again, it's Italy are one of the major teams in this tournament, and I personally think it will be an England-Italy final, and then you just don't know on the day. You hope England will do it, but yeah, Belgium. I just think we're up against a side that were better than them, and they just couldn't work out a way of beating them.
I totally agree. So I think Belgium have focused so much on their offensive side and their offensive way they're set up. I wouldn't say they've forgotten about defensively, because they've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I think defensively they've got a very aging back three, and what causes them problems is pace. And what caused them problem against Italy was Immobile working the three across the box. Yeah, a Chiesa on one side, Insigne on the other. And they just couldn't handle the movement. They couldn't handle the pace. They couldn't handle the coming to feet going along. They were very unpredictable. Fullbacks bombing on, Spinazzola in the first half, and that was the problem that they couldn't handle. They were getting forced further and further back. And yes, experience counts. Of course, it does. Experience is one of the most important things in football. You need to have that experience to play. But sometimes the raw pace and talent like Italy had, and of course, just absolutely blew them away. And Gilo's right. You've got to give Italy credit, because for me it was a flip of a coin game. Whoever won it, you take it on the chin and go, best team won. Because they've got the best players. Because if De Bruyne would have scored, Lukaku scores, they're the best side. But for me, Italy blew them away in the first half. They were, I wouldn't say unlucky to not have the first goal, which was offside. But it was a very, very tight call. If there's no VAR, that's getting given, because nobody with the naked eye saw that knee up to the chest.
No.
But for me, they were the best side, and I think they're probably the best side I've seen in the tournament so far.
Yeah, but all round, I think they're the best team. They got a phenomenal goalkeeper, as I said at the start of the tournament, one of the best in Europe, if not the best in Europe. He's only, I think, 21 or 22.
Behind Pickford, yeah.
Pickford's an anomaly, mate, for me. Really is, because for Everton, he looks like an absolute liability every single game. He looks like he's going to make a mistake every game. But in England,
he showed that against Ukraine when he came out and missed the ball. He had an Everton moment. Listen, if that's his mistake in the Euros, I'll take it, because listen, everyone's allowed a lapse in concentration. But yeah, I do agree with you. I just think it's nice that I'm talking about Jordan Pickford, who's had such a time critically over the years. He's been hammered. And he's now keeping it. Yeah, like we saw, he's made some big errors, but now he's keeping clean sheets and looking confident, looking apart. Yeah.
Do you know, Andy? I've never seen a goalkeeper ping a ball like him. He strikes an unbelievable ball.
His technique. Listen, I've never seen goalkeepers in my life be able to kick balls. I'm on about Edison. I'm on about Pickford. You know what I mean? The goalkeepers are normally the worst in pre-season at the back of the line. You know what I mean? They always just do patter cake, throwing balls to each other. But now they're the fittest. They're in the gym all day. You know what I mean? The techniques, they can take penalties, they can do absolutely everything at the minute. So it's amazing how the standard of excellent goalkeepers have gone to another level now.
Yeah, he could go to American football and come on. The kicker. Come on,
he'd
be hell of a kicker.
And fortunes, wouldn't he?
He might need to take penalty on Wednesday. So
listen, if Jordan Pickford had to take a penalty on Wednesday, I'd be quietly confident he would smash it in the top corner. I tell you,
I agree with you, Andy. I totally agree with
you. His job is to save him, innit? But
and he'll save 5 as well.
Yeah.
Well, it will be interesting. Is if England and Italy go on the same trajectory that they're on at the moment. England haven't conceded a goal. Italy have been phenomenal, and Donna just said there, Donnarumma hasn't conceded a goal from open play in the tournament. So, I mean, it could be like a real clash of two form teams. But I think it would be crazy to look past Spain and Denmark, respectively.
Yeah.
And like I think it was Leslie just said, like England notoriously semi-final stage, not always the most comfortable of stages for them. So we'll see. It's I thought they'd beat Croatia in the World Cup semi-final, and they didn't. So it's a difficult one. Right, let's talk predictions and whatnot. Spain versus Italy. Andy, how do you see that one going?
Well, listen, first and foremost, I said before Italy played Belgium, I'm looking forward to a good game of football. For me, this is the standout game out of the two. I think with both of them, the way they play tactically, Spain are full of younger players. They've gone down a different route. The manager's got his tactics spot on. His dress sense, though, by the way, because his dress sense in this tournament has been absolutely disgusting, by the way. You know what I mean? He looks like a tramp when he's stood on the touchline. So it'll be chalk and cheese on the touchline with him and Roberto, because Roberto always looks $1 million.
Italy side sponsored by Armani, by the way.
There you go then. But on the pitch, on the pitch. Listen, I can't see Italy giving this up because of the way that they've already played at Wembley. I think that'll help. I think they'll be settled with the way that they play. They'll feel comfortable. They grow into the games really quickly. I've never seen a team in this tournament as fit as Italy have been, and I thought they might have grew off a little bit. But for me, the only worry I've got is Spinazzola. He obviously got stretchered off in the latter ranges of the Belgium game. If he's not fit, who comes in? Will have the same attacking prowess? I'm not sure. But for me, Italy are going to win it.
And Gilo, what about you, mate?
Yeah, again, I have to agree with Andy there. But I can see Spain scoring. It'll be a different ball game if Spain get the first goal. Because Italy then will have to press and push on a bit. And Spain, like Andy said, they've got good, young, quick players. They're all comfortable with the ball. They're all playing in a good league. They're playing at great clubs. So take nothing away from the Spanish. If they get half a chance in Italy, again, this is what happens in football, and especially in semi-finals, finals. You may have a couple of players who are just not on their game. They get caught up in all the emotion and the excitement, the nerves creep in. You've got to hold your nerve in these games, big time. So if Italy don't do all those things, they could find it very difficult. But I would say that Italy, for me, probably be a 2-1 to Italy.
It's going to be interesting. I think a big part of Spain being successful will be how Morata finishes, because some days he looks like he couldn't hit a barn door, and then other days he looks like one of the best strikers in Europe. And in those big games, it's that one chance you get is so important.
I think it's sorry you put in there. I think it's important though that we look at Spain and the way that they selected the side without any Real Madrid players, and they went down a different route, and they're trying to build for the future. That Absolutely. If Spain don't get to the final and they lose the semi-final, this has still been a success. So Enrique's done a great job. I think he'll get a lot of credit for what he's done. The players and the country and the national team moving forward will be in a really good position to go to the World Cup and the following year.
Italy and
so I think
Spain.
But I think it's really important that one of them's going to lose, and I think I look at Italy's experience at the back, for example, and in midfield with Verratti and Jorginho, that they've got a little bit more experience. And I think sometimes in games at this bigger level, at this stage, experience counts, and that's why I believe that'll happen. But in the future, I wouldn't like to play Spain in 4 years' time, for example, with this side going all the way through. That'll be really scary.
Mm-hmm. They've got a couple of players as well who haven't gone, like young players who haven't gone as well, which I think in 4 years' time they'll be right up there. It's going to be really, really interesting. I'm going to go with Italy 2-0. No, actually, I changed that. I'm going to go with Italy 3-2. I do think it's going to be a bit of a high-scoring one. But as everyone knows, I got my England-Ukraine prediction spot on to the point where I even said Harry Kane was going to score a brace. So I'll let you guys get it wrong first, and then I'll give my prediction for the Denmark and England game. But how do you see the game going, and what's the score going to be?
I'll go first, but whilst I'm talking, can Leslie Coates put his prediction in the group chat so that everyone can then have a giggle at you on Friday once you get it wrong? So I'll talk now. So for me, I don't see anything but England winning. You know what I mean? And this is just my head talking, my heart talking, whatever it is. I don't care what happens in the game as long as England win this game. That this is an opportunity, and this is life changing for those players. This is life changing for the country. This is life changing for me as a football fan. You know what I mean? This is. I wasn't as excited and confident in the process, in the group, in what's going on. You know what I mean? Maybe there's less hype as there was against Croatia. Everyone was expecting it. Went 1-0 ahead. Everyone thought it was game over. You know what I mean? For me, I'm just quietly confident the way that the lads are doing it. You know what I mean? There's no big time Charlies in that group. You know what I mean? They just seem to be together, doing really well, and I think it's just amazing. And for me, England through to the final.
And Gilo, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I think it's a very tight game. I think it'll be 0-0 half time, and I think I'm going to go 1-0 England, but 1-0 will do you. It'll be a very, very tight game. I think that, everyone will be on the edge of their seat, biting their nails. Obviously, if you're an Englishman as well, I want England to win. I want them to get to the final. Like Andy said there, it's. I can remember watching that 66 World Cup final. I saw every game. And yeah, I looked at those players. They were my heroes. Bobby Moore, Bobby Charlton, Alan Ball. I'd run out the street kicking a can around. I thought I was Alan Ball. Because I absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, and you know what? These lads, they're top class players. They play for great clubs, and there just seems something about the England team at the moment that Gareth has pulled them all together, and they've got this togetherness. I see a lot of the 66 stuff. I really do. They're all good mates. You see them when they're training. You see them walking to the coach. They're all chatting. There's no little pockets or, like the people splitting up. So I really think that there's something good going on with England. And I have to say, Andy, come on, it's about time that England did win something because they are a big football nation and we want them to do well.
Gilo, and you know what? And coming from you, and coming from somebody who's so passionate about his own country, it's amazing. Do you know what? I'm as an Englishman and a proud Englishman, Si, you know how proud I am. You know what I mean? To live in England, to be English, to wear my caps to behind me, to wear my caps, to wear this England shirt behind me. Every single England fan should want their country to win. And Leslie Coates' comment, which has just flashed up on the screen, is embarrassing, and he should be embarrassed to even write it on his computer. Because every England fan should want his country to win and never pick another country. And that's just that. Yes, that might be my opinion. If they were playing Brazil in the 1970s, I'd still expect England to win. That's how much I'm passionate about my country. It's just it is what it is. It's like I look at you guys, Si, and I've said it in previous shows. I've said it in our Monday show and our Friday show in the Championship. The Welsh fans have something different, and I'm on about passion. I'm on about desire. They run through a brick wall for their team. They'll support even if they're being beaten. They won't make excuses up about it. And I think it's absolutely a credit to every single one of them. And if England can get anywhere close, and this isn't me hammering England fans, by the way, but if England fans can get anywhere close to that passion, they've got an opportunity on Wednesday, and I hope they bring it home. And I'm not on about the cup, by the way. I'm just a final because I can only look at one step. I honestly don't think they'll win the final if I'm talking right now. But if I'm talking on Friday about England playing the final on Sunday, of course they're going to win. That's just the way I am.
Yeah, the thing is, but of course, we've already said a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, Italy are the best team in the tournament that we've seen.
Yeah.
However, if Wales were playing Italy in the final, I would go with 1-0 Wales because I would think the Wales are going to somehow put it out the bag like a deflected Gareth Bale free kick or something.
It doesn't matter, does it?
But the actual result on Wednesday is going to be 1-0 to England, and the goal is going to come in the 79th minute. the goal scorer is going to be Jack Grealish.
Yay!
And that's going to be the final result. However, I also would not be surprised.
Did he start?
No, he comes on to change the game. I actually think that this could be the game which goes to penalties for England. I think if anyone's going to go, that's the one that's going to go to penalties, because I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up 0-0. in extra time and full time.
I think there's going to be goals in this. It's a game what's going to go to penalties for England. I think it'll be Italy, because I think they'll just defend and cancel each other out. If those two teams get there, and I think this could happen with Spain as well, because I think Spain have scored loads of goals. Italy can defend. Spain can defend. Italy can, and it's just gonna. Sometimes you get games which cancels each other out, and I think one of the two semi-finals will go to penalties, and I think Spain might go to penalties if one of the two does, but I don't think England will. I think there's going to be too many attacking players, and I think England got too much. I'm too
I think they've got too much coming off the bench to lose the game, but you do never know in a one-off game. Last thing I'm going to address, Leslie just said the bookies would love you, Simon and Andy. Well, if I put a bet on what I said, which was England to score early, England to win 4-0, and Harry Kane to score 2, I'd be loaded now. But I don't gamble, so I didn't bet. But on
that point, I don't like to give somebody as much airtime. However, I'm sure a certain person said that England would lose to Germany, so
and Scotland everyone else.
Well, there you go.
There we go. It is what it is. It's all a bit of fun. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Enjoy the games as it were. One of them will go to penalties, I think. I just don't know which one.
We'll be on the show, won't we, before the England game? So we'll be able to talk about it again and have another prediction, but might change.
Yeah, well, we'll spend a good time talking about Italy and Spain. I got the feeling that's going to be a good game, but I think that's going to be a really tactical game. Whereas the England-Denmark, I think, is going to be like a Premier League game. I can see it being like end to end, just physical and whatnot. But we'll see. It's going to be good. We're back on Wednesday, 7:00. Gilo is joining us for the final time in the tournament. Sad face, but Dave, we've really enjoyed having you again, and I know the viewers enjoy your honesty. It's been good stuff.
Absolutely, been amazing, Gilo. Your passion, your knowledge, everything about it has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely, you've made the show. You've made the plan that we had, and which Si had the plan, and we decided to bring it together. You've made it and more. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. The viewers of the comments, the tweets, the Facebook messages, the things on Twitter. It's been great. Really pleased. Really glad to have you on. We just need to think of a way to get him back on Si for another.
I know. Things. Go on, Gilo.
Lads, I can't thank you enough. You've made an old man very happy. It keeps my mind sharp talking with you two. And I've said to you this before, Andy, you're wasted, son. You need to be at the club. I think you've got so much knowledge. Si, you could be on Sky Sports tomorrow running it, definitely. Yeah. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it, lads. It really, I'm looking forward to Wednesday now, my last one. But thank you ever so much for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Top man, Gilo. And I got to say, it's been phenomenal. There was a point where we were just going to do me and Andy doing it. And then we said, well, no, let's get some people on. And to get Gilo on numerous shows and have Rhodri on numerous shows and have Super Kev's joining us on Friday as well. To have three people, of that stature and who speak so well and know their stuff, it's been absolute pleasure. Yeah. Really looking forward to it. Appreciate all the great comments and nice comments. But I will be I'll go through the comments and have a little look at them later. Sorry, I was giggling at some of the comments. But, here we go. Right, guys, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you Wednesday, 7:00. Spread the word and tell the people to join us for the final show next Monday when we talk about the final. But we got Wednesday, Friday this week first. Let's go.
In the beginning, we are the ones of the spoken word.